Welcome back, guys, to Bluegrass Sports Podcast, episode number 7. And today's outline. First, we're going to be talking about the Louisville Kings in their game Friday night against the Birmingham Stallions. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming Kentucky football spring game, and then we're going to deep dive into some college baseball, covering Murray State, EKU, WKU, Louisville, and Kentucky. And then we're going to discuss some potential transfers and recruits for Kentucky basketball, Louisville basketball, and then we're going to end things off talking about March Madness. So, to kick things off, we're going to be talking about the Louisville Kings. So the Louisville Kings lost their first game at Lynn Family Stadium Friday night, 15-3. And quarterback for the Kings was Jason Bean. His completion percentage was 51%, and he had 226 passing yards, 1 touchdown with 2 interceptions, which what me and Tyler were talking about earlier. The interceptions were really costly of losing the game, and we'll talk more about that in a minute. But the rushing leaders for the Kings were the quarterback Jason Bean. He had 5 attempts and 27 yards. His longest rush was 10. And the name that Kentucky fans were looking for the most was Benny Snell. He had 5 rushing attempts on 12 yards. His longest rush was 6. He averaged about 2.4 yards a carry. And then moving on to the receiving, their star wide receiver, it looked like from what I was watching, was Double Zo Lucky Jackson. He had 73 yards and a touchdown with 8 targets. And his longest reception was 22 yards. Joining the action was Isaiah Winstead and Tariq Black, being the main 3 receivers on the team. And, this was a very winnable game for the Kings. Losing by 2 points in a football game is very rare because all you need is a field goal. And what happened with the Kings was there was a point in the ball game where they were only down by 1 or 2, maybe even 3, no more than that. And they had the ball inside of the 5, and instead of going for the touchdown and getting the points that you need, you go for the points. Actually, what, Ty? I think I'm wrong. I think they were actually up 1, and they kicked the field goal to go up 4. I'm right, actually. I know that. They were up 1, and instead of going up 8 with a touchdown, they decided to take the points and go with the field goal instead, which led to the Stallions going down and scoring after that and ended up winning the game. Ty, how do you feel about that decision by Chris Redmond to get the field goal instead of the points, or instead of the touchdown?
I don't know. I didn't really agree with it because, in that situation, late in the game, I feel like you go for it because all they need is a field goal to go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So, personally, if I was a coach, I'm going for it. But also, I'm not the coach for a reason because there's a lot of
Yeah.
situations where I'd go for it. So,
See, yeah.
yeah,
Here's
what do you
here's
think?
my thing. I was gonna say, I would have went for the touchdown because it was 4th down, and even if you don't get it, you turn the ball over, right? And now they have the ball inside of the 5. That is more pressure on them if they start with the ball inside of the 5. But if you take the points like they did, and now they're only down 4, it's like, cool. Now we get the ball at like the 25 or whatever, and then we have the rest of the game to score. They had enough time to go back down, and they did, and they scored. But then here's where the Kings messed up. So the Kings let the Stallions come down and score, and after that they were down 15-3 after the Stallions kicker missed the extra point. So now it's 15-3, 2-point game. The kickoff was terrible. The Kings get the ball at the 50-yard line with over a minute to go, like in the game. And at this point, Tyler, if you have the ball at the 50 and you're down 2, you're down 2
Mm-hmm.
points. You're at the ball at the 50-yard line. What kind of plays are you calling in an offense?
A minute left?
A little over a minute. I'm gonna say minute 45 seconds, I think, at the top of my head.
Short run route. I mean, short pass routes. I'm
Short
running
passes
slant
and
routes,
runs. Yeah.
inside route. That's what I'm running.
Yeah.
Because if you throw long, you're risking interception, which is what happened. And then,
Exactly.
front players are draining the clock too. So you got to throw in a mix. I feel like slant routes drain the clock a little bit with a run route if you get in position where your kicker is comfortable enough.
Hmm.
So I mean,
I
because you kick a
completely
field
agree
goal,
with
you
you.
win.
I completely agree with. All they needed was to get in field goal range.
Mhm.
So
I mean, but maybe that was a tactic of they're expecting the short pass route, so why not throw it long? Which
right.
that's all mind games in football. Is
Hmm.
happens all the time, but just couldn't catch him off guard. I think like Coach Redman wanted him to.
Yeah, that was also his very first game coaching, and that's not easy to do. I'm not gonna say like, oh, I could
Definitely
ever
not.
go coach a professional football league. Go undefeated. Like obviously, there's gonna be mistakes made. Nobody's perfect, but I'm just saying I would have went for the touchdown instead of the field goal to go up 4. I would have went for the touchdown to be up by more, and then like you said, Ty, I would have ran short pass routes. Throw some slants, some out routes, maybe run the ball a little bit. The Stallions were stopping the run, but I still definitely think that they should have, tried to chew the clock a little bit and then go for the short pass routes because you're already at the 50. All you need is 20 yards. But
Yeah.
instead, the Kings went deep and they try to find their main pass catcher, Lucky Jackson, and their other two main receivers. They ran 2 or 3 deep passes, like deep pass routes and plays. And what happened was on the second or third one, it got picked because it was underthrown, and the Kings turned the ball over, and they ruined a major opportunity to win the game. So, um, yeah, that's just very unfortunate for the Kings. And um, yeah, so looking ahead in their schedule, they play the Orlando Storm on Saturday at 8 o'clock, and it should be on ESPN for what me and Tyler checked. So if you want to go
Yes.
support Kentucky, or it's Louisville's team, but for the state of Kentucky, it's the state of Kentucky's first ever professional football team, and Louisville Kings, the first Louisville professional football team. If you want to go check them out, go right ahead, as we will still be covering them throughout the season.
And
Now,
they
one thing
play
we,
the Orlando Storm in back-to-back weeks.
yeah, Todd, talk about their schedule.
Yeah. So what I'm noticing is, which is very new to me, and the UFL apparently each team or each week. So week 2, the Louisville Kings play the Orlando Storm. The next week, the Kings play the Orlando Storm again, and then so say that's week 3, which is the second week. Basically, okay. What I'm trying to say is week 2 and 3, both the same teams play. Week 3 and 4, both the same teams play. Like they picked 2 teams to play the same back-to-back weeks, which is very odd. I mean, I guess it's because like it's an 8-team system, like you said earlier. Um, I, it's my only guess, uh, but I'm just
That would be
pointing
my
out
guess too.
what I'm seeing. Very new to UFL. Obviously, this is our first professional team, like Drew said. So
And also, what we talked about earlier was how it feels weird to talk about spring football
it
because
does.
we're not used to talking about football in the spring. We're used to talking about basketball and baseball. Because
Yeah.
normally in the state of Kentucky we don't have that, but it's our first team, so we're always gonna, if they bring a sports team or a professional sports team into the Bluegrass, we're gonna support them. We will.
Drew, right now, our whole main topic right now should be basketball. Next year, this time it will be.
I do think eventually Kentucky or Louisville will break free,
I hope
and
so.
this will be year 2 and 3, or not even 2. It's going to be year 3 for Pat Kelsey and Mark Pope. So we'll
Yeah.
see what they have in store. They both got to hit the portal hard. They're going to both be losing a lot of people. So we'll just have to see.
Yeah. Um,
But another thing about football, is there one more thing do you want to add for the Kings before I mention the spring game?
I think we're good. You might catch us at a Kings game one week, so if you do, be welcome to say hi. Uh,
Yep.
we'll always stick around and talk for a minute.
hmm And you can also do that at the Kentucky Spring football game coming up. It's April 18th at 11 a.m. Our podcast, our crew, we will be there, and
Yes.
we're definitely gonna be interviewing some fans, talking with the fans, getting to know you guys. So come find us at the Kentucky Spring game and check us out, and we'll get to learn about you all.
You
And
could see yourself on TikTok or Instagram, X, whatever platform it is, if we interview.
that's right, that's right. Yeah, we'll keep y'all updated on socials. Ty, what's our socials? What do they have to look up?
BG Sports Podcast on anything that is any platform besides like the full name, which is Bluegrass Sports Podcast. It should be
Mm-hmm.
things like YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music,
Mm-hmm.
and I believe that's it for streaming platforms. But anyway, it's all like the social medias like Instagram, TikTok, X, Twitter, and Threads are BG
Mm-hmm.
Sports Podcast.
There you go. Go check us out, and you might find yourself on there if we interview you. So, uh, moving on. That's all we got to talk about football because there's not much happening other than the Kings playing in a spring game. Uh, we got baseball season. We're right in the thick of it. We're going to talk about Murray State first. So Murray State started their week on Tuesday. They played the Kentucky Wildcats, and they took the loss in a run rule game. The score was 4-14, and that wasn't really close. Kentucky pretty much dominated that game. And then Murray State, they took their weekend series to Illinois against Bradley University, and they had the season sweep. So the Friday game, they won their game 18-10, so the bats were hot. And then the Saturday game, they won 11-0. Bats were hot again, and the pitchers were going crazy. You know, a shutout win is always really special for the bullpen and the rotation. And then I was confused because I was looking at their schedule and their score hasn't updated yet. But last time I checked, the score for the Sunday game, which was today, is 13-2 against Bradley. So the Racers, I'm going to say they swept Bradley this weekend. So congratulations to the Racers for sweeping this weekend. And looking ahead to their schedule, they have Southeast Missouri on Tuesday at 6 o'clock. And then for their weekend series, that starts on a Thursday. So they'll play Thursday, Friday, Saturday. They will play Belmont, and that will be at home in Murray. So we'll keep y'all updated on our socials with scores and stats. So that'll be all we have for Murray State Racers today, and I will let Todd take over with WKU.
Yeah, so for WKU baseball, they took on the Louisville Cardinals was at WKU actually in Bowling Green, Kentucky. On Tuesday, WKU actually pulled out the win against Louisville, which is unexpected for WKU. You know, Louisville's a good baseball team, good baseball program. Uh, WKU pulled out the win 10-5. Great single game win for them during the week. And then they move on to Sam Houston in a 3-game series over the weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They unfortunately lost the series 2-1, with the first two being a loss. The first game was 0-1. The second game was 5-11, which is the Saturday game, which was unfortunate. But they bounced back on Sunday, winning 8-2. So good bounce back win for them, going 2-2 on the week. Unfortunately, losing the series, but avoiding the sweep.
It's always good to avoid the sweep. You know, it already sucks
Definitely.
losing, but
And
right.
then one more thing for them, Tennessee Tech is who they play on Tuesday of this week. That's a 1-game series, and then or a single game. Sorry, and then Liberty on the weekend, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I'm assuming that's still weekend.
All right, so now we're going to head into EKU baseball with the Kerns and starting off their week. They opened their weekday game Tuesday against the Morehead State Eagles, and they took the loss 6-2, or sorry, 6-12. Sorry. Anyway, they lost 6-12, which I'm at a shock because Morehead State, that's not a team that we cover, but they're in state and they have beaten Kentucky, Louisville, and now EKU. They are on a tear on the weekday games. Um, but yeah, EKU lost to the Eagles and then going to Nashville against Lipscomb. The Friday game, they took the loss in extra innings, 2-3, and then for Saturday they won 15-3, so the bats were hot, and then on the Sunday, which was today, they lost 2-9. So that the EKU Kerns, they lost that series. Looking ahead, they will play Louisville Tuesday at 1 in Lexington. They're playing. This is a neutral site, Ty. So Louisville and EKU, they won't be playing at Louisville or in Richmond. They'll be playing in Lexington, Kentucky, but at the Legends
Really?
Field. So
Hmm.
like I think they used to be the counter clocks. It's like I don't know what they are. I don't think they're minor league. I think it's like some other men's league. I don't know what it
Is it?
is.
Hmm.
Yeah,
It's
but
interesting.
their field's pretty nice. A lot of the high school tournament for baseball is played there. If it's not played at Kentucky Proud Park, so that's where they'll be playing, which is pretty interesting because I don't think that's ever happened before. And then for the weekend series, EKU will take on Austin P in Richmond. They'll play, let's see, Thursday at 7, Friday at 7, and Saturday at 7, getting Sunday off. So if you want to check them out, if you have ESPN Plus, go right ahead. If not, you can follow us on social media and we'll keep you all updated with scores and stats. Um, Now we'll move on to Louisville. So starting their week, Louisville played what Todd just talked about. They played WKU at WKU. They lost 5-10. That game was packed because apparently it was $1 beer night or something like that. So all the WKU crowd and fans were there. So Louisville took the loss against WKU in a rough environment. Uh, then for the weekend series, they played against Pitt. So what I see here is that they lost their first game 3-4, and then they won their second game yesterday 8-5. And the score is not updated on their app, but from what I see on here, um, last update that it was the bottom of the seventh, and Pitt was beating the Cards 10-6. So there's still a chance they win that game, but very unlikely. You never know. If they do win, I will post it on our socials and let everybody know. And then looking ahead, after this Pitt series, they play EKU, like I just said earlier. And then for their weekend series, they play Duke at Duke. And they play Thursday at 8 o'clock, Friday at 6, and Saturday at 12. And the Thursday and Friday game looks like it will be streamed on ACC Network. So if you want to catch your Cards play against Duke, go right ahead, check them out. And then if you don't want to catch them on ESPN, you can also follow us on socials and we'll keep y'all updated. So Ty, take us away with some Kentucky baseball.
So for Kentucky baseball, Kentucky played Murray State during the week, and they actually run ruled Murray State 14-4. So great win for the Cats. Let's see. Let's give a rundown on inning by inning. So first inning, Murray State comes out, gets 1 run. Kentucky bounces back in the bottom of the first, scoring 3 runs. So great bounce back to the single run. Kentucky holds Murray State to 0 runs in the second. Kentucky scores 4 runs in the bottom of the second. Murray State bounces back with one run in the third, while Kentucky can't answer in the third. Murray State 0 in the fourth. Kentucky, bottom of the fourth, scores 1 run. Nobody scores in the 5th inning. Murray State scores 2 runs in the 6th inning, with Kentucky bouncing back. Bouncing back with 6 runs in the bottom of the 6th inning. So that led on to the seventh inning where Murray State wasn't able to score, meaning a 10 run, 7 inning run rule.
Mm-hmm.
So great win for the Cats, able to score 10 or 14 runs, sorry. And then the 6 runs in the bottom of the sixth inning were key to that
Mm-hmm.
victory. That put them right at the 10 run mark. And then holding out on pitching in the seventh, the top of the seventh, really was key for the Cats in this game. Now, moving on to the weekend series against LSU. Kentucky takes the win, first game of the series. So, big SEC environment here at LSU. Kentucky scores 1 run in the top of the first. LSU can't answer. 3 runs in the top of the second. LSU wasn't able to answer again. Kentucky goes scoreless in the third, while LSU answers back with 2 runs. Nobody scored during the fourth, fifth, and sixth inning. Kentucky answered with 3 runs in the top of the seventh, and LSU tried to make a late comeback in the ninth, scoring 2 runs, but unfortunately wasn't able to, or fortunately for us, was able to pull out the win, and Kentucky pulls out the win 7-4. Now that was the first game of the series. Moving on to the second game of the series, completely different ball game. Kentucky scores 0 runs the whole game, while LSU scores 7 runs. So 7-0 ball game. Throughout 9 innings, Kentucky wasn't able to score a run. Poor hitting performance could be LSU's pitching, which it seemed like their pitching was very solid. Very solid. Their starter pitched 5 innings, only allowed 6 hits on 0 runs, obviously. And then their closer, Zach Cowan, pitched 3 innings, only allowed 1 hit. So it was just a great pitching performance from LSU, which was unfortunate. So Kentucky loses the second game of the series, and then moving on to today, which is Sunday when we're recording this. They are still playing, actually. They just finished? Okay, yeah. It was a loss for Kentucky.
17-10.
Now, Kentucky was up 7-0. I believe the 4th inning, and then LSU hits a grand slam to make it 7-4. And then slowly LSU just builds their lead 13-10 and then 17-10. So LSU kind of took over late in the game. But that's a fair way to put it, I guess. Cause
it was very back and forth. They just ran away with it.
Yeah. But I think we're on to the fun off-season basketball news like most people are looking forward to.
Yeah, I'll start with Louisville's really only news, Ty, if you want to deep dive into Kentucky after me.
Yeah, definitely.
So from what I know with Louisville, there's not much going on, but I know for sure that they've reached out to this player, and there's a high chance that they land this player. But his name is Quinn Ellis, and both Kentucky and Louisville reached out to him. But let's see. It says he's the rumored point guard of the future. But he's 22 years old. He's a 6'5" point guard. That's exactly what you want. He's experienced and he's tall. So that's good. He was the starting point guard for Olympia Millen. I hope I said that right. Obviously, he plays overseas. His last season stats, he averaged 8 points a game with 4 assists and almost 3 rebounds. And then he was named the Italian Cup Final MVP. And then there's a lot of colleges competing to land him to be their starting point guard, but I think Louisville is the front runner for this at the moment. So Cards fans, you will have to keep an eye out for that. That is his name is Quinn Ellis. So do your research on him. He could possibly be your starting point guard next year. That's about all the news that Louisville has right now. There's also Ty. Who did I tell you? Was it Woolley?
Yes, it was
Okay,
Woolley.
Woolley posted on social media there is a decision coming soon. Now I don't know what that decision looks like, but we could hear in the next few days what he's doing. And to hear what he's doing, you could check us out on socials, and we'll keep y'all updated on what he does and post about it. So you got Quentin Ellis to look forward to, and you got Woolley, Cards fans. Uh, Now talking about Kentucky, Tyler, go ahead.
Yeah, for Kentucky, we have a lot of news to cover. Uh, First, I think I want to talk about the coaching changes for Kentucky. Um, so Mark Pope kind of seemed like knew that it needed some big changes coming this next season. Jason Hart, which was the lead recruiter for Kentucky, uh, which just throwing this out there, he had 0 recruits coming in the next season. So I don't know if this was a Mark Pope pushing him out thing, but anyways, he took a job at SMU. Sorry, I almost said LSU. SMU.
Going
So
to the ACC.
yeah, he's gonna go to the ACC and compete against Louisville, uh, which is very interesting. I'm not really. It's interesting. There's not a whole lot to say about it. Just gonna see who Mark Pope decides to bring in as his assistant coach. He already made another hire, which I'll talk about in just a second. Which, Drew, what do you think about Jason Hart going to SMU? Like, what are your initial thoughts? Like,
At first, honestly, I was kind of. I don't know the full story to everything.
I don't know.
Uh,
It's very private. They keep it very private, which is good.
but yeah, it's a respectful thing. Here's what I know. I was kind of. I'm a big fan of keeping coaching staffs together as long as it's good, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
And with the Kentucky situation, just weird because, like we've talked about in last few episodes, Kentucky, like their first season was good together, and basically the same staff stayed for the second year, and things just got worse. I don't know what happened behind the scenes, but here's what I do know about Jason Hart. Jason Hart was close to Dink Pate, who Kentucky's pursuing, and he was also close with Tyrion Stokes, who Kentucky was also is pursuing. And Tyler will fill you in with more information about that. But um, my initial reaction, I was like, man, if he's gone, I don't know if Kentucky's getting those kind of players. But I don't know the full story. I don't know what Pope's capable of. You never know. Um, I just know Kentucky. Who did they just hire? Keegan Brown for
Yes.
their.
He is
Yeah, you can talk about him.
so he's going to be the team's director of roster management. So a kind of weird way, I guess, to describe the position, is like, what am I thinking of? A general manager. Kind of
Okay,
kind of like a kind of like a GM, but they don't want to name him a GM, which is I mean, maybe they want somebody else to hire as the official GM, but basically Keegan Brown will be a huge recruiter for Kentucky, especially this season as transfer portal season starts. I know with the news of him coming in, he has said previously, like, he's not all about talent, he's about system fit, which is exactly what Mark Pope's about, which makes sense. I mean, Mark Pope has a specific system designed for him. He needs types of players that can shoot threes and centers that can grab rebounds as well as handle the ball a little bit, which makes sense. I mean, I think it's a good hire. I think it's a great hire. I mean, he's all about the Mark Pope, video game offense, as a lot of people call it.
well,
Uh,
here's my thing about that. I think Pope needs to go with what fits his system and try not to branch out. Because I feel like this past season, he tried to branch out. His system needs shooters. There wasn't a lot of shooting other than Colin Chandler and Denzel Aberdeen, with some Owe and Mo Diabate prayers. So same with Garrison. But
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of shooting compared to the season before where you had Butler, you had Brea, you had Carr that could stretch it out. You had Kirk Creeks that came off the bench that could shoot. Travis Perry wasn't the greatest point guard, but he could somewhat shoot. So there was just more options at the 3-point line the year before, and I think he tried to change it up with more athleticism and defense, and that kind of threw
I
some
think
things off. So I feel like, fitting a system is what Pope needs. So I just hope whatever happens that they decide to fit a system instead of trying to fit Pope's system is what I'm trying to say, instead of trying to do other stuff.
I agree. I think he focused a lot on defense, which kind of went the opposite way as he was expecting. And then more news: Alvin Brooks is actually leaving. He's not going to be an assistant head coach, or the associate head coach, as they were calling it. I don't really know how much that'll impact the team. I don't know much about what he did with this past team and like the impact that he had. I don't think just like we know, Pope's coaching system is private. Everything he does is kind of private. Um, so, that's really all we got to talk about with the coaching staff. Now, I want to move on to official portal news. So this is coming from the players directly on what they're actually wanting to do. So officially, the only person that we know that is entering the transfer portal is Jalen Lowe. Now, this is huge for Pope. What I heard was that the meeting was very short. The meeting between Jalen Lowe and Mark Pope, I heard it was a really short meeting. So maybe this was a Mark Pope, maybe this was Pope saying, hey, I want to go a different direction, which is okay because I don't think Jalen Lowe is a Mark Pope system point guard. I think you need more of a shot creator outside of the 3-point line.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really know if Jalen Lowe fits that description. I don't know what you think about that.
I honestly, we talked about this the last episode. We were talking about after the game, like our initial reaction. We're breaking down the roster and our thoughts on each individual player somewhat. And me and you came to agreement about Jalen Lowe. And we're just like, man, that's just not a point guard that plays for University of Kentucky. Like, I hate saying that. I appreciate Jalen Lowe for giving it a shot, and I appreciate everything that he's done. Like, I know he didn't play much, but, he tried. And, I just appreciate him just everything or anything he's done for Kentucky, and, I wish him best of luck going forward. But for a Kentucky basketball fan, looking out for my team, I think Kentucky can get better than Jalen Lowe.
And I mean, I want to say one thing, like with his injuries throughout the season, he tried and tried and tried. And I give him props for that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no hate or anything going towards him for transfer. We will
we support him.
We will never hate a player.
No, I mean, unless you're coming for our teams.
Yeah.
And we might have to shoot back at you, then we're going to support you through and through if you're a Card or a Cat.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
that's the only. We also have some returners, Ty. Kentucky.
Yes. Yeah. So Braden Hawthorne and Reese Potter are the two confirmed returners. And now Braden Hawthorne is going to be a huge return for Mark Pope. I know he was developing under Mark Pope's system this year. And
I'm pretty excited about it.
I'm excited to see what he looks like. I mean, I I know he kind of came out of nowhere in high school, hit a huge growth spurt, and then was able to go D1 in basketball. I mean, obviously redshirting last year, which might have been a very smart move for him.
He's still really young.
So correct me if I'm wrong. He like plays kind of like a Kobe Bryant play style, doesn't he? He's
I
a shooter.
personally,
I know he's a
I
shooter.
I would probably that's probably a fair comparison. I'd say Hawthorne's probably a little more athletic than Brea.
Hmm.
Um, I just haven't seen much action of Hawthorne.
I haven't
Like
either.
you said, I know he can shoot, but I don't know how well. Like I said in the past episode, I'm not the biggest fan of comparison games, but
Yeah.
I feel like he can shoot, but not as good as Brea. Like obviously he's a shooter
Right.
because Brea was a flamethrower. Like he was good,
Yeah.
but then Hawthorne, I feel like he could be a decent 30%, 40% shooter, and then he has a little more athleticism on him. So like I said, nobody really knows what he looks like. I mean, the last tape that we have of him is the blue and white game, and then before that is his high school tapes. So
Yeah.
he's basically a high school recruit. So I
Right.
don't know.
But
I
it's
don't know.
good that, I mean, he practiced with D1 college basketball players all season long last season. So maybe he'll come out ready. Uh, I, I'm excited to see him. That's all I know. And then Reese
Um,
Potter, we'll
yeah,
see.
that's what I was gonna say.
Probably hard to tell what he's going to do or make an impact.
I feel like he just kind of brings size to the team. He's
Yeah.
7 foot or 7'1", one of the two. But I mean, I don't know what Pope's plan is for him. I'm sure Reese Potter isn't coming back to just sit the bench again. I don't know. I don't know the whole
It,
story. I've
it's
never
hard to
watched him
tell.
play basketball. So, like I said, if you want to go check him out, he probably played in the blue and white scrimmage. So, I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we just know that it's Hawthorne and Potter returning and Lowe that is transferring.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And then, so Colin Chandler, this is the unofficial news. This is all speculation from here on out. Colin Chandler is allegedly 50-50 on his whether transferring or staying. Now, if he transfers, his reasoning for that is going closer to home, being at BYU or Utah, I believe. Some school closer to home, right? I think BYU is his main option.
it's,
If he transfers,
yeah,
it's going to be BYU,
I think it'll
probably.
be BYU.
Um, Now, Colin Chandler would be a great addition back to this team for a third year, but I could also see Mark Pope bringing in someone who's a better 3-point shooter from the perimeter, which Colin Chandler's great. He can be great. We've seen it this year. Uh, I think it'd be amazing to have him back.
Mm.
If he doesn't come back, I think that's okay too.
I
Uh,
agree with you. Here's my thing with it. Chandler, great. I want him to come back because he could shoot. He's athletic. He could dunk. But if not, I appreciate everything Chandler's done. One of
yep.
my favorite memories was probably my favorite memory was the three that he hit against Tennessee, the Denham game.
Oh, that was crazy.
That crowd pop was crazy. Now you were
Yeah,
there. I weren't. I
I
heard it
was
through
there.
TV.
It was
Yeah,
crazy.
I
It was
couldn't
crazy.
imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would that, and then one of the greatest dunks I've seen as a Kentucky fan. He had that one poster against that nobody school. I forgot
Yeah.
who. He
Yeah. In the
conked it
first
back with
like
his
3
right
games or
hand.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was pretty crazy. Those are probably my favorite two memories of Colin Chandler. But if he leaves, best luck to him. I wouldn't blame him for going back home. But here's my thing. What you just said, I agree with. Chandler is a great player, but Colin Chandler is also easily replaceable.
He is, which is hard to say because, we like him. We
Yeah.
want him to come back. But if he doesn't, that's okay. It, you know, he's not a player that I would hate to see go, which I want him to come back. I really do. But I think that's all we have to say about that. So,
Yeah,
moving on.
we'll keep y'all updated.
Kentucky lands 4-star commit Mason Williams. So, point guard, 4-star commit. So for Kentucky,
Welcome to BBN.
welcome. I'm expecting him to be the backup point guard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure what Pope's plan is on that. He hasn't spoken out at all. I'm hoping that Pope is behind the computer right now, making calls and looking at film, doing what he
In
does.
fact, reached out to somebody today. I told you earlier. Who was it?
Yeah, San Diego State point guard Miles Bird. So I don't know anything about him. I'll actually look up
He
YouTube
actually,
videos and
from what
tapes.
I know, is he was the defensive player of the year, and he averaged
Okay.
10 points a game. From what I know.
Okay. So that might be his Lamont Butler. I mean, I know he was close with Lamont Butler, wasn't he?
He played on the same team as him. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
Okay. So I mean, Lamont Butler was a defensive. Was Pope's defensive guy, Pope's first year. So maybe he's looking for a Lamont Butler type player there. Which it's hard to tell. I don't know anything like about his play style besides he's good at defense, like Drew said.
What about the Washington kid?
Yes. So Kentucky reached out to 4-star, 6'9" small forward Christopher Washington Jr. So that's
He committed to Alabama, then he decommitted,
okay.
and now his options are available. And Mark Pope and his remaining staff has reached out to him as of today. So
Yeah.
we'll
And then
keep updated to see if that goes anywhere.
one more thing that I have to note is Kentucky's still pursuing Dink Pate. I don't know if anything has changed the last 2 or 3 days, but Mark Pope went to his last game of the regular season, and Dink Pate actually performed great. Great performance like he has done all year. Dink Pate would be a huge addition to next year's Kentucky basketball team. That I mean, hard to tell what's going to come of that. I think, as we know, Jason Hart was actually the lead recruiter, but it's good to note that Mark Pope is still pursuing him. And then, unless you have anything to add on that, I'll move on to Tyron Stokes.
Move on to Stokes.
So, Tyron Stokes is actually getting closer to his commitment. And the thing that I had to say on that is all the reports are that Kansas is in the lead for Tyron Stokes. So Kentucky and Tyron Stokes are the 2 schools listed. There's no other schools in that list. Not saying
Kentucky
that he
and Kansas.
What'd I say?
Kentucky and Stokes.
Sorry, Kentucky and Kansas are the 2 schools that are on that list. And not saying that any other schools won't, or, not saying that he doesn't have any schools in mind, but those are the 2 schools that he has listed currently. We do know that there's talk about Kansas coach Bill Self retiring due to medical issues. So maybe that could have a major impact on Tyron Stokes' commitment if he decides to step down and retire. It would change the outlook a lot. I think Kentucky would be in the lead. But who's saying that, it's all speculation. I think it's 50-50 right now. I think it's 50-50.
I would expect that Stokes does go to Kansas. As a Kentucky fan, we're not going to get our hopes up. But, you can. But every report that I see is just Stokes to Kansas. But you never know, though. Stokes is the only person who knows where he's going to college. So,
And Jason Hart was the lead recruiter for him too.
yeah,
One thing to note, I just keep having more and more to add.
you're good.
So this is different news, and probably won't happen. Jamal Crawford is an NBA legend, right?
Yeah.
Now, there's been talks about Jamal Crawford being potentially added to Mark Pope's staff. Now, I don't think that will happen. He just got a huge multi-million dollar job as an analyst or a somewhere over in Los Angeles in California, right? Got a huge job
Mm,
with media. His son actually plays with Tyron Stokes on the same team. So, in a hypothetical world, if Jamal Crawford joins Mark Pope's staff, that could be a huge opportunity to get Tyron Stokes over. And then in return, I believe he is the class of 2029, but it's Jamal Crawford's son and is a very
JJ.
good point guard. Yes, very good point guard. So that's a guy to look out for in the far future, but not impossible.
If I was, I'm talking to Kentucky fans here, including us too. Do not get your hopes up for Jamal Crawford. That is all
Don't.
speculation. It's
What
all
he said.
speculation. You know how our fan base is. They'll run with one little thing. But, um, you know, that would be great to have Jamal Crawford on staff. Like, I would not be in opposition of it at all. Just know I would not have any, like, hope of that happening, like, soon. I That's just all speculation or rumors right now. So I don't know. We don't know who Pope's going after. Like Tyler said, he's very private with that stuff. So we don't really know who he's going after. But don't get hyped up for Jamal Crawford to be in a suit and rep arena this next season, because I don't know how true that will be. I don't know if that will happen. So
Yeah.
um,
Any news, any immediate news, we'll put on our socials.
mm,
So, like, uh, as soon as we hear news, we're gonna repost it to our socials. So, if you
mm,
want to be the first to hear news, go to our socials, follow them, put notifications on, anything you want, and especially Instagram. Instagram is our main place for
mm.
news, and also X. I'll be reposting things as soon as I see them. And yeah, I just wanted to let y'all know that if you follow our socials, that'll get you the news immediately.
Yeah.
Um,
There
very
you have it.
curious to see what will happen with the Mark Pope staff coming up here.
Oh yeah, for sure. You don't know because as of right now, Kentucky only has Mason Williams coming in, and you don't know who's going to transfer. You don't know anything else. There's just a lot that's about to happen in Kentucky basketball when it comes to roster construction and staff construction. So you just don't know. So you just gotta stay connected with us and stay updated with us through our socials.
And I just want to add one more thing with the portal. As soon as it opens, players are going to feel quick. Like,
It's April 7th is when it opens.
yeah. So as soon as that date hits, expect half of the people who are in the transfer portal to be committed to a school. So
It'll be quick, first few days.
yes, uh, yeah, I expect. I mean, portal's open for a month
Mm-hmm.
now. Everybody will be gone long before a month.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say about that. So, we're just gonna have to be quick with getting recruits. So
We will be posting Kentucky and Louisville. Now I know like Murray, EK, and WK, they'll probably get their own um, recruits and transfers, but we will go over all of that before the season starts for basketball season. We'll talk about the new players and everything for the smaller schools in the state. But for Kentucky and Louisville, we'll talk about the main transfers and go over their style of play and what the roster will look like after it's all constructed and said and done. So
Definitely.
that's what we'll be doing in the future. So just keep an eye out for Kentucky and Louisville and what they do in the next month or so with the transfer portal.
Yeah, but with football, I I think we're pretty much at a standstill with that until we see more practices. And I'm going to try to go to a lot, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Drew will try to be there with me as well.
For sure.
I'm working on contacting UK. Please get back to me, UK. I already sent a couple emails. I'll send a few more,
Mm-hmm.
but
All you can do is try.
looking forward to that.
We're going to
Yeah.
keep trying. We're eventually going to try to get the media access. It's a
Yes.
long shot, but if it doesn't work out, we'll still be on here talking to you guys. So, um, yeah,
100%.
we'll be covering these Kentucky games, and we'll be at some Kings games, like we said earlier, and we could even catch some Cards games because all of us are from Louisville, so that'd just be
Yeah.
right down the road from us. It wouldn't be that hard to cover. So we'll be covering those three main events. You got the Kings, the Cards, and the Cats, and then EKU and WKU is kind of a little out of our way, so we'll just try to keep up with them on social media and keep and posting updates. So that's kind of what we're going to be doing. We're just gonna be kind of focusing on Louisville and Kentucky, but also just talking about the other schools in the state. So
Yeah. I think that's all we have for this episode.
hmm and thank you guys for tuning in, and also, if you're just the biggest DJ fan and you're wondering where DJ is, he decided to disband the podcast and move to Japan
I know. Really
and
unfortunate.
start living life over there. Nah, we're joking. He's on a 2 week trip. He'll be back episode 8 or 9. He talked about being back in 8. If not, he'll definitely be back in episode 9. So
Yes.
it'll just be me and Ty. So thank you guys for tuning in. Even though we're kind of short staffed right now, we really appreciate it. It means the world to us, and
Yeah.
we will see you all next episode. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you all again.